So how I got my first collie from Marianne. So I had lost a prior collie and she was only 8. And so I found myself looking for a collie when I hadn't been expecting to look for one. And I had just started looking. It was after Christmas, around New Year's, and she posted this wonderful picture of the 3 boys she had from the litter with the Frisbee coming across the field. And you know, I said, that's my heart dog. So that's how I saw Jasper for the first time, and I contacted her, and
You're making me cry.
I'm sorry. You know, I contacted her and said, you know, I'm interested, and she's going, you drive up here to get it, because, you know, he was at the age he didn't want to fly. You drive up here to get him. And I said, yes, I'll drive up in January to Virginia from Texas to get him. No, you won't. Yes, I will. Are you really sure? Yes, I am. So, I did, and I got him. And
the rest is history.
And the rest is history. And I just got Millknock number 2 this past summer. And so, no winter travels to Virginia, but it was 107 on the way home to Texas.
Oh!
So.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I first met Marianne at the Montana Collie Rescue. I think that was in 2002. And I adopted one of the Montana Collies. And I think at that time I always knew that my first performance dog was going to come from Marianne. And about, unfortunately, only 8 years later when Vinny passed away, Marianne and I both knew that my next dog was coming from her. And she called me up about a week after he died and said, I hope it's not too soon, but I have a great little 10-month-old, or 9-month-old at the time, rough tri-girl that she thought would be really good for agility. And I said, no, it's not too soon at all. How soon can I come out and get her? So about a month later, I showed up in Virginia and picked up Georgia. I flew out and I drove her back across country. And that's how I got my first Millknock dog.
Awesome.
Won't you stand up and take a bow?
My inspiration for pursuing a Millknock collie came from Zorro. Olé! The moment I made my mind up was when I was in Mary Valentine's RV. I walked in and Zorro and I greeted each other from his chair. I just saw something in his eyes that pretty much cinched it for me. And so, because it takes a village, I was admiring picture of Sequel's litter on Facebook. Wasn't planning on a puppy as I had planned a trip to Antarctica. But as I was admiring the pen picture, I told myself, Self, if you could pick out a pup, it would be that one. I did ask Noreen if there were any puppies available, but there were none. Okay, maybe next time. As luck would have it, I threw my back out and had to cancel my trip to Antarctica. Talking to Noreen on her trip to pick up Sequel, she again confirms there are no available puppies, but to contact Marianne for her future one. I sent an email to Marianne, and a day or two later, Marianne contacted me to let me know there is a puppy available. I asked her which one from the group picture. Yep, the one I would have picked. The fates have a mysterious way of making things that are meant to be.
We decided that we wanted a collie, so I was following it on Collie Expressions, I think it was, and looking at different breeders, and decided that hers was the kind of collie I wanted. It did everything. So I called her, and we had to go down and meet her before she would sell us a dog. She had to interview us and make sure that I was going to do what she wanted done for her dog, and we got Cooter. And that was in 2002. And he was wonderful.
Yep.
Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
I got my first collie from Marianne in the fall of 1993. I had just lost my tricolor collie in August, and Marianne was in Charlottesville. I was living there. Went and visited her. She said she was having a litter in October, so I said, wow, I'd really like one out of that litter. And she said, no, you don't really understand how the whole process works. So I came back and started visiting the puppies after they'd been born, fell in love with this one dog that had the litter name of Dusty, and kept telling Marianne, I really like that dog. And she kept reminding me, no, Bill, you don't understand how the process works. I get to pick first, and what I don't decide I want is then available for everybody else to pick from. Well, I was about 4th on the list of people who were in their picking order. So when it came time to start picking, Dusty was never available for anybody else to pick from. So I had no clue what was going to go on with me. And finally, when my turn came to pick right before Christmas, all of a sudden, Dusty appeared for me to pick from. So it's like, I got it. Thank you, Marianne. And she said, this is the highest energy dog I've ever had. So you're going to have to take classes with him. And I did. Marianne was the instructor, and that's how I also got into dog sports, was taking classes through Marianne and the local dog training club in Charlottesville.
And look at you now.
And here I am now.
Here you are now.
Four
the
dogs,
top 20.
four Millknock collies now, 2 mocks, and just been to Tulsa, now here with the collie specialty in Kentucky. It's fantastic. What a journey. Thanks.
Found out about a litter that she had on the ground after I lost my mock dog Cole. Thought, I don't think I'm ready for a puppy, but I've always wanted one of Marianne's puppies. So the situation was that she actually hadn't placed them all yet. I figured she would have, and it was just one of those happy circumstances that just fell together.
And now you have Katie.
I have Katie.
I'm Debbie Bell, and I got my first dog from Marianne in July of, July 10 years ago, I guess. The dog was born in 07, 06, 05, so that was 10.5 years ago. That was Tia, and how I went to Marianne was a friend of mine in the South Jersey Collie Club had gotten a special dog from her, and I heard all about Marianne, and I thought, that's where I'm gonna go. So I went down and I picked out my Tia, who was 10.5, and still she was not, I did not show her, but she's still at 10.5 running agility. And basically we used to do AKC. I've been doing USDAA lately with her, and that's how I got my first dog, Tia, and she's the love of my life.
Thank you.
Stay this way. My hat is off. Won't you stand up and take a bow?
I got my first dog from Marianne. Very much interested in getting a performance collie. Had talked to my friends in Illinois and Wisconsin, and the Millknock name kept coming up. So I went to Collies Online, and I actually looked through all the archives and looked through all the titles. Decided to give her a call, which I did. We connected. I went out to meet her because I thought it was important that she meet me, and I also wanted to meet her and her dogs. Fortunately, there was a litter that was 3 days old, and it just happened to be Tori at the time. So went back 8 weeks later and came home with the beautiful puppy that I have, and I will continue to go back as long as you continue to breed.
How did you get your first dog from Marianne?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. My very first collie I had was not from Marianne. His name was Bart, and he was fabulous. He may have been the best dog I ever had, but I was not very smart back then about how to handle dogs and what to do. But he was the one that was really responsible for me being in dogs at all, because he was so special. So we were breeding a little bit back then, so we had a puppy from Bart, and when we lost Bart, Marianne, I knew Marianne then, and she called me up one day and said, hey, I have a couple of litters on the ground right now, and that I have several tri-males, and there's one there that just really reminds me of Bart. And she was calling him Roddy because he didn't have much white on him and he looked like a Rottweiler. So Judy and I went over to her house, and Judy and Marianne were talking, and I just walked into the pen with all of the puppies around. And there were lots of them. I can't even tell you how many, maybe a dozen, you know. And this one dog came up and started jumping up and down, and I was petting him, you know, and she says, oh, I see you found Roddy. And I thought, yeah, well, that's just a coincidence, you know. So I didn't put anything into it. And I really I guess I really wasn't over losing Bart yet, and so I said I'm not really ready because I had one of his daughters that I was working on. So a few weeks later, after she had gotten the eyes checked and stuff, I was at a herding trial, and Marianne went there to the herding trial, and she had an X-pen up and probably had about 8 or so puppies that she had brought there. And I went over to see the puppies, you know, and this one came up, jumping, and I picked him up. She said, "Oh, you picked him out again."
Oh, no kidding.
So I went home with me.
Oh.
I'm Dolly. I met Marianne at Kathy Dillon's in Camden, Virginia, herding lessons with my dog Garrett. And then come to find out Marianne was breeding Ruby, and I decided I'd like to have a puppy. I only had Garrett, and I wanted a second one, and I wanted a performance dog. So I went to visit and saw the litter, and I finally got one. I didn't think I was going to get one, and I got my little Blue Girl Spring, which took off, went all kinds of directions, breed championship, advanced herding title, agility, and romp, and so forth. Love Bill and I.
Okay, Lenore had gotten her Millknock dog, and Mary Valentine had Millknock dogs. So I was watching the Millknock website, and I saw this adorable little puppy that she had named Kate, a little tri-bitch, and my heart dog had been named Katie, and she was a tri-bitch born in February, and I said, that's my puppy. So I emailed Marianne, who didn't know me from Adam, and asked her if that puppy was still available. And after a while, she got back to me, and I still think she didn't know me from Adam, but I think Lenore and Mary may have put in a good word for me. So I drove down to Virginia and got my little baby Katie, who I subsequently named Gypsy.
Oh, that's Gypsy. Okay.
That's it.
How'd you get your first dog from Marianne?
I was looking for a breeder that had the best performance dogs around, and somebody told me about Marianne. And I was waiting for a blue puppy, and I'll never forget her comment when she had a litter, and I told her I wanted a blue boy, and she said to me, "I would think that if you wanted the best working dog, color wouldn't matter." And I said, "I have to live with this dog maybe 10 to 15 years, and I want a blue boy." And I got my blue boy. My first dog was Cyrano.
And float away into the night.
Hi, my name is Louise Pollard, and this is Lilo. And we were lucky enough to meet Marianne through a mutual acquaintance who knew that I was looking for a puppy at the time. I emailed Marianne back and forth a few times, and we chatted on the phone a lot. And she told me all about her litter of puppies, and I told her what I was looking for in a puppy. And we were lucky enough to get chosen to get, at that time her name was Dottie, and now her name is Lilo. We drove down to Virginia to her beautiful place down there, got to meet all her pups, and we brought Lilo home. And I can remember her telling me how high energy her puppies are, and I laughed and thought, how high energy could a collie be? But we have learned over almost the past year that she is, and she's a big high bundle of energy, but we love her to death and would never trade her for anything.
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm Louise's daughter, and I've been training Lilo in agility class, and she's learning the obstacles slowly since she's still young, and she's doing really good, and hopefully you'll see us at shows in about a year.
Congratulations, Marianne!
I heard about Millknock. It's funny, I heard about Millknock dogs when I was at the North Carolina National. I went and watched agility, and I was walking back from the agility, and there were some people, I don't know who they were, walking behind me, and all they did was talk about Millknock dogs. Oh, if anyone even wants a performance dog, they have to get a Millknock dog. Well, I wasn't really into performance then, but I was intrigued, so I always had it in the back of my head. Because I always had, I still had Marnus dogs, I was still going to get another Marnus dog. And then various things happened along the way. And then Marianne put Gabby. Oh, I needed to find another bitch.
Yeah.
And still had Marianne in the back of my head, right? So Marianne put Gabby up on her Facebook page, and all my friends had told me Marianne's puppies were already taken. They're already gone from that litter, and I said, well, that's fine. I'm not in a hurry. But then somebody asked Marianne a question as well, you know, this dog's available. But there was something about her personality. Marianne had her going down this ramp, and she looked really cute. So I just jumped on it. I emailed Marianne and said, you know, can I come look at her? And that was it.
Yeah, I got my first dog from Marianne, a Tri, a male. I told her I didn't care what I get, I just want a dog from you. I had seen a lady in Cincinnati at our training club, and she had this beautiful Tri, and I said, where did you get him? So she told me, and I called Marianne immediately, and Marianne didn't want to tell me there was a litter on the ground because she didn't want to get me, you know, all hooked up. She didn't know me from Adam. So finally she called and told me there was a litter on the ground, and I said, just do it. I went up there. The one picked me. I don't know if Marianne picked, that dog picked me and came home with me. And that's
Oh, how cool. I got my first collie from Marianne, this guy right here. His name is Brooklyn Valentine. His name was Cormac at the time. And I went with Noreen Bennett, Auntie Nor, and we went in February of 2009 down to Virginia, and there was a litter of puppies. There's a litter of 4 puppies, and then Brooklyn happened to be for sale as well. And sweet boy. When we went, Brooklyn and I fell in love, right, Brooklyn? So when we were in the family room and Marianne was showing us videos and talking about all of them, and then I had to go to the bathroom, Brooklyn followed me all the way to the bathroom and into the bathroom, and he's like, please take me home with you. And he has been the best boy ever. What a sweet, compliant, excellent boy. So he's now Mach 6 POC. He has a CDX, and he says, I don't want to be on this bench anymore, but he's the best. And he is a breed champion. So he's champion Mach 6 POC, Millknock's Moonshadow, and that led me to have Zorro and then Taz. And I love my Millknock collies. They're the super duper best. And when people ask me what their breeding is, they're always jealous. They all say, oh, I love those Millknock collies. And I'm very, very proud to be a Millknock owner. I love my Millknock collies.
Thank you for being a friend.
How'd you get your first Millknock collie?
I went to Marianne because I kept seeing Millknock dogs performing in agility at advanced stages, and my primary concerns were health and structure, so I knew she was doing something right. And I waited more than 2 years for a puppy from Marianne, but when she said, I think I've got one for you, he has a natural retrieve, I was like, I'm taking him without even meeting him.
Back in 2007, I was looking for another collie to bring in my family. I only had one left, and I had heard Marianne was producing some very healthy, long-lived, very active collies. So I inquired of a few people who had Millknock collies, and one of those people was Jim Smotrell, and he responded to me and said, I just retired my 11-year-old collie from Millknock collie from agility, and that was it. I was sold. I didn't want any health issues.
Are y'all watching stuff coming up on the big screen? Stop.
So anyway, with that, I contacted Marianne, whom I had met through the Shelby rescue back in 2002. And she said she would love to get me a collie, and so we put things in motion and brought home my first Millknock collie in 2008, March. Drove all the way back to Virginia, and spent a couple of days there, and picked up my precious Vixen. And she is a Vixen.
A few years ago, it was time for another puppy. I knew I wanted a Millknock puppy.
I had seen them in herding and agility and obedience, and I loved the spirit and the drive that the Millknock dogs had. Michelle Shoemaker told me that Marianne had bred Snap, and I really liked Snap. So I contacted Marianne, and I went down to look at puppies. Mary Valentine drove with me down to Virginia because she was interested in a puppy also. And I picked Peyton. And I have to say, he is probably the funniest dog with the best sense of humor that's ever been bred. He is just, always keeps you laughing. And then I got Sequel a couple years ago. And I want to say how proud I am to be part of the Millknock family. And Marianne, you've been such a supportive breeder. You support whatever sport we are involved in. You're there to handhold when we call up and say, I'm having a tough time. I don't know if I can keep doing this. And it's just been a pleasure. And I consider you a mentor and a friend.
We all got together to do a little something special for you. Many months ago, I asked Patty Merrill how to get you elected Breeder of the Year. And when she said that was gonna not be likely for this particular event, she suggested we do our own special thing for Breeder of the Year. So I enlisted Noreen's help because everybody knows if you want something done, you get Noreen to help you. And then we brought in Mary and Karen as a sounding board, and then everybody jumped on board and participated in this very special banner, which you helped me build the frame for, to celebrate your 50th anniversary.
I think I first met Marianne in 1983. I was showing my first collie puppy, and it was not a Millknock puppy, okay? But we all know what great dogs she breeds. But I want to tell you a little something about Marianne and how Judy and I felt about her. So a short time after we met her, we put a will together, and we're going to will our children to her if anything happened to us. Okay?
Now, first you willed the dog.
And the dog.
Then I said I needed kennel help.
So now that our youngest daughter is 33, Marianne asked if we change the will so our daughter can now take care of them now that they're older. Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to thank her for, we've had 5 spectacular Millknock dogs, and I know you all have had some too, and just wonderful, wonderful dogs. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You are all the best.
No, you know what? I've known Marianne since, I don't even know.
I don't either.
Well, it wasn't 50, it hasn't been 50 years.
No.
It was when she was like,
Very, it was like 1986 or something.
I tell you what, nobody could be any prouder of how far you've come and the wonderful dogs you've bred and the people you've influenced and the difference you've made as a breeder.
Thank you, everybody. They've done all the hard work, every one of them.
This is every dog
Oh my
that
God.
ever had a title that's Millknock.